Nas wasted no time in firing back at Jim Jones after his attempt to clown Nas completely backfired. So the whole convo of Nas versus Jim Jones came about after Jim popped up on the Joe and Jada podcast, talking real bold. Jim said he used to be a super Nas fan, but now he thinks his own catalog, his Billboard run, and his relevance with the younger crowd outshines Nas completely.
If you want to go to the Billboard entries, pull up Nas Billboard entries.
He's your son.
No, but he knows.
My son, my son can't tell you one Nas record.
And social media lost it to the point where the whole hip-hop culture tuned into the convo and jumped in to defend Nas's name. But it's funny how far this came if you think about the fact that the entire Jim Jones versus Nas scenario came back to life thanks to a snippet from the Don't Quote Me podcast from a few weeks back. A 22-year-old college student from New Jersey claimed Jim Jones had more influence on his generation than Nas. The clip made waves across social media and reignited the generational debate in hip-hop.
They doing all this because of a 22-year-old. Jim Jones been clowning lately, and Nas ain't having it. He firing back. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Let's get back into it.
This is what was said during the session.
Pop Champagne, Summer in Miami. That's a classic.
If I Rule the World, how is that comparable to those songs you just said?
I'm 22. Every Nas song that my man's MJ played, we said we heard that from what, Dub?
2K.
2K. Those songs are in the video game.
Okay.
I have never in my life said at a party, yo, throwing that Nas right now. If you did top 3 influential people regarding dressing,
And that right there made Jim respond on the Joe and Jada podcast. He was fair though, and he said that he himself once idolized Nas, but over time carved out his own lane. So now we're here again, and the Nas versus Jim Jones beef is well and truly alive. But this ain't their first clash. If you've been outside long enough, you remember the mid-2000s tension when Dipset was rolling with Jay-Z and Rockefeller during that peak Nas versus Hov era. It wasn't long before Jim Jones stepped into the crossfire, and what started as admiration turned to rivalry real quick. Jones was out here saying wild stuff in interviews like, F Nas, I don't give a fuck about Nas. He's a rapper that just lost his pizzazz. Meanwhile, Nas was brushing dudes like Jim off without ever getting his hands dirty. No diss track, no name drops, just subtle flexes that made it clear, you not in my league. Here's the video when back in 2005, Nas let his audience speak for him when he brought up Jim Jones's name. Who even is Jim Jones?
These niggas like a Jim Jones, like, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, man.
That energy never really went away. Fast forward to now, and Jim's back pushing the same angle, but louder. And before it could cool off, he doubled down on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap podcast. Shannon pressed him by asking him if he's really a better rapper than Nas. Jim didn't back down one bit. He said he would run circles around Nas.
I will run circles around Nas rapping right. I will run circles around Nas rapping right now.
That said it.
Bro, Jim Jones, he's trolling, man. He gotta be smoking crack at this point. You ain't got not one song that could stand up to New York State of Mind. And we could go down the catalog, but why?
It off. Shannon threw some shade at Jim with saying that his podcast is the biggest that he's ever been on.
Hey, this the biggest podcast you ever been on.
Name one Nas record.
This the biggest podcast you ever been on. Do you know what podcast you been on better than this one?
As for Nas, he still doesn't want to give this drama any attention or words. He knows that's exactly what Jim Jones wants. Let's be real. Nas been dropping Grammy-winning projects, doing sold-out shows, and collaborating with Hit Boy for the past few years. The work speaks louder than any clapback, and that silence is his clapback. For anyone who knows the culture, Nas staying silent while Jim talks himself into circles is the legacy talking.
Hey, Jim Jones is really tripping, man, but you know, I understand. You supposed to say, I'm the best, you know. But at some point, you got to be real, man. You got to be real. You can give Nas his props. He talking like Nas was never in the conversation about who's the best in New York. Nas was in the top 3. Jim Jones wasn't in the top 10. Still ain't, to me. And this guy here, y'all it ain't his fault though. This guy, it ain't his fault. Y'all sit there and let a 22-year-old tell you who the better MC. But to be fair though, he didn't even say Jim Jones was the best MC. He said Jim Jones was more popular to him, more influential. The party music, the party scene, that's all he on. Everybody can't be on him about that. That's y'all fault for taking that and running with it. That's y'all fault. Jim Jones bugging though, yo. The way he acting out here, he's still running around like he 20. You gonna do that, at least color your beard. Look like somebody's granddaddy. But what y'all think about it though? Who you got? You got Jim Jones or you got Nas? Which one's better? Leave it down in the comments. This channel's on the road to 1K. We halfway there, y'all. Hit the subscribe button. We got merch available now. Visit the gift shop. I left a link down in the description of the video. Appreciate y'all coming through. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.